My name is Nina Sung. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, and I've primarily worked in the dance music scene, working mostly as like a topliner and a songwriter. But I've since recently felt the need and the urge to step out and be an artist because I feel like I have a story to tell and a message to share.
Being a singer-songwriter in the dance scene, would you say you were a certain level of successful? You had success in that space?
Yeah, I would say that, I think I'm almost at 49 million streams total. I've had the fortune of getting to work with some really big artists like Millennium, cross paths with like David Guetta's Cramp. I've like performed at EDC Las Vegas a couple times just as like a feature artist, but nothing substantial. I would say that I've had a fair amount of success and I obviously make my living that way now. But I would say that a lot of it was practice. And I'm glad I got that practice out of the way. And I'm still doing it. I still enjoy it. I love dance music. I owe a lot to the dance music community, my best friends, my team. They all knew me from that world. And so I'm not trying to isolate them or abandon them, but an artist evolves. And even though you're not called an artist, maybe you're called a top liner or a songwriter or a mixing engineer, you're still an artist at the end of the day because if you're being honest and truthful in your art and your work, you're going to evolve, you're going to change. You're not the same person you were 5 years ago. So why should your music, why should your work, if you're being 100% honest? So for me, songwriting was sort of like, and it still is my bread and butter, but it's not where I want to take things now because again, like I said, I have a message to share and I can't be hiding anymore.
Yeah, being a songwriter and saying I have an urge to say more or do more. Like, was there any frustration at some point?
There's definitely, and I'm gonna be real with you, like everybody has egos, right? And for me, I think there was a turning point where like a lot of people would be singing the songs that I wrote, singing along, and I look around and I'm at these shows where the artist invites me and I'm going to their shows and they're huge, they're packed. And I hear people singing along or people be snapping me and sending me like all of this video of everyone singing like the song that I wrote. And I don't know, it does something to you. It kind of makes you go, well, first of all, it makes me kind of feel obviously great because I'm like, yeah, it resonated with people. Like I got something here. But it was also like, what if I could do this too? And maybe at first it was my ego talking because it's like, if they can do it, I can do it too. But at the same time, again, I didn't feel comfortable moving forward as an artist and calling myself an artist until I was like, I got something to say. Because I feel like there's a lot of artists, and I know this because I've rubbed shoulders with them. I'm in the studio with them all the time. They don't really have anything to say. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't. And so I've been really careful about myself about like, do I want to be an artist for like a hot minute or do I want to have it like an actual lasting legacy based on truth, based on authenticity? Because I've seen in the 12 years that I've been a professional songwriter, I've seen a bunch of artists just rise and fall, rise and fall. I know pretty much as soon as I start to get to know an artist now, whether they're gonna still even be relevant in 5 years, just from the way that their head's at. So for me it's like going to the gym and exercising. I always think to myself from a mental aspect and as a creative aspect, like I check in with myself and I go, Am I doing this for the right reasons? Do I actually have something to say? Or am I just doing this to fill my ego or to fill a hole that I never got as a kid? You know what I mean?
It makes me curious. What is your message? What do you have to say?
Hmm. My message is do not be afraid. Just don't be afraid. Like, there's so many things in this world that are going to teach you and tell you to be afraid. Like, watch out for this, watch out for that. Yes, there's absolutely a need for to be sort of on your guard or whatnot, because you can't just trust anybody. However, the world has enough fear. And number one, don't be afraid of yourself. Don't be afraid of your story. The things that you forgot about or you want to forget about, the things that you feel that you're like, I'm too afraid to say it or like be it. You need to stop because somebody out there is being locked up, and it's your obligation as an artist. If you have the God-given talent and the language and the skill to be able to do it, don't hold it in within. Like don't lock yourself up in a basement where nobody hears your music and nobody knows your story because you have no idea who needs it. Like who really needs it. I don't mean to be dramatic, but like someone who might off themselves because they didn't get to see you and understand, oh, I'm not alone. So I can have a community because community is so important. Like we're not meant to be islands, but fear is what keeps us separated. And isolation is really dangerous. Like, it is a horrible thing. As somebody who also knows what it feels like to be very alone, like, I'll be real with you, like, I'm estranged from family. I have a brother, but I don't speak to him. I haven't spoken to him and seen him in 6 years. We are estranged, but I have my other family that I get to, reach out to, my community, and so I know the value of what it means to have a best friend who's gonna be there for you and really hear you out, and, like, I do the same as well. Like, that's normal. That's what should be normal. I'm afraid right now it's not. That's my message, is don't be afraid of what you've been through. Like, speak up, say the truth, like, be that person for someone.
You mentioned being estranged. Earlier, you were talking about, even having that in your music, textures of real moments and obviously just subjects tackling these real moments.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit more on that? Maybe even a specific song that can kind of give us even clarity around what these moments might have looked like?
Yeah, so, when I decided I was gonna step out and be my own artist, I already had an album in mind and another EP after that. And it's really the progression of myself. The first EP or first album was gonna be called Minju. It's my Korean name, it's my first name. And the EP, the body of work after that, is called Nina. And that's the evolution of me as an adult and how I've changed, but has everything to do with my family and the fact that my parents had a very tumultuous relationship. My father was not a faithful man. He could have been better as a father, I guess, but I know for a fact he was not a great husband. And, my entire family has shunned him out, but I've since sort of kind of looked at him as just a man, like he's a person. By having empathy for my father, my family members kind of like group me in with him. They're like, "You're just like him then." And this sort of herd mentality that has happened in my family, it's what tore us apart. Not to mention, I did go to college. I was supposed to be, I mean, it's a classic, like, oh, Asian American immigrant family, like, why aren't you a doctor or whatever? I went to school to be a lawyer, but I knew deep down inside that was not the path for me. I knew deep down inside I've always wanted to be a musician. I had played violin since I was 7. I was in the I'd auditioned every single year up until I was 16 to be in a symphony youth orchestra. I was doing that all day. Like, that was my passion. And then I went to college and forgot all about music, but then it found me again. Anyway, long story short, like, I just remember going to my family and be like, "I'm gonna do music." And they were like, "No." No, you're not. You're crazy. You just finished your college. You went to a great school. That was an expensive education. You're not just gonna be an artist. Like, you're gonna be poor, like, for the rest of your life or what? I think about it every day. Like, one day you're gonna die. We're gonna die. We're not gonna, it's like over before you know it. And like, I don't wanna be 90 years old, I mean, you hear this all the time from artists, right? Like, it's true. You don't wanna be on, like, in a hospital bed being like, "I woulda, coulda, shoulda." I had to choose, do I wanna maintain a relationship with these people? Yes, they're my family, but at what cost?
Mm.
And it's a hard question. It's a question that only I can answer. It's nobody else. And I mean, I have people on either side of the aisle. They're like, "No, but they're your family, blah, blah, blah." And there's people like, "Yeah, do your thing." At the end of the day, like, maybe one day I will reconcile, but it was something that for years I was quiet about. I just struggled quietly about. The only person that knew was my best friend. And nobody else knew. And so, like, during the holidays, I'm born around the holidays. So, like, I just go to Mexico. I say, "Screw everybody. I'm going to Mexico. Screw family. Screw holidays." And I did that for years. And then I know one day I want to reconcile with them, but at the very least, as a creative, I think it's important to express what's really going on, because I was writing these songs with these other, for these other artists, and I started slowly writing about my honest experiences with my family, like what really went down, and those songs were doing well. And I noticed I was getting really attached, and my manager was starting to notice, like, "Nina, you're getting a little too crazy. Like, why are you being a control freak over this release? It's not even like you're just a featured artist." I'm like, "No, like." The shit I write about is real. That's why I care more about this baby, the song. My manager started to realize, like, I started getting more problematic, in her defense, because I was starting to argue with her a lot about, like, what I wanted to do. And she realized, she's like, wait a minute, like, you need to figure it out. And so I was like, I'm going to go make this album about my family. And it's going to be the most personal, meaningful work I've ever done. And she's like, okay. She kept calling it a passion project. I told her, I was like, "Natasha, if I don't do this, I'm gonna fucking quit music. I'm done. I don't want to keep being these people's, like, accessory anymore. Like, writing the songs, it's almost like I felt like I was a surrogate. You know what I mean? Like, I had to go through the process of having a baby, and then I have to give that baby away. That's exactly what it is, right? And so you do that enough times, one of two things happen. Number one, the first thing is you get completely disconnected. You get completely numb to the music, to yourself, to your artistry, the whole reason why you're even doing this. Like, I remember thinking to myself, is this what I sacrificed my relationship with my family for? Just for some money? Yeah, I'm doing music, but like, it's not the music I want. You know what I mean? And so, like, is this really what I want? I told her, I was like, I'm gonna do my passion project and you let me do this, but I promise I'll still do I'll still do the songwriting. You still pitch out the catalog, like keep the lights on. I get it. So I was doing both. She started to see that I was actually like successfully doing both. She's like, okay, all right, let's keep doing this. So I started, this year is the year that I finally started releasing that music though, the real honest shit.
Your story and how you've tied it in is really special and inspiring to one go away from doing the the easy thing, which
Yeah.
seems hard, go to school, but like go away from doing that, but then at the same time have the awareness to question, but hey, I still want to make sure if I'm over here, I'm doing it in the right way with my value system.
I've done it the wrong way. And I was actually talking to some of the other artists. I was like, you know what it's like? You know when you ever try to build like something from IKEA, like a cabinet, and you realize you messed up steps 2 and 3 or something? Shit, it's backwards. So you gotta break that shit down again, and then you gotta redo it correctly. And that's exactly how I would define my career. Is that I came in and I was like, yeah, okay, and it felt good. I mean, it always feels good when you got huge artists coming in, hitting you up and being like, yo, let's work, let's work, let's work. Oh, I got so and so and so and so. Like, let's do da. And I'm connected. I'm so well connected now. But like, for what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the substance behind the art? Like, you said, you know what I mean? It's a car with no gas in it. Or no engine in it. Like, it's a pretty car, but that was my career, basically, it felt like. Because I didn't have anything to say. But then I was like, I had a moment where I had to break down. And I was like, this isn't right. This isn't working. This thing is not working. This thing that I built, being a songwriter for other artists, like, this is actually not fulfilling. And the reason was because I was always adjacent to the artist when I knew I was an artist all along. I was just too scared. I was told that ain't gonna, you're not good enough, or like, you're not this enough or whatever. And all that time, I was just wasting time because I bought into that lie.
But you could have kept that furniture together and just push it against
And
the
just was like,
wall.
yeah, like this will be no, and I did that for a little bit too. You know what I mean? I'm not like, that like on it, but I just know now that I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser, seeing some shit, I'm like, okay, like if it's not right from the beginning, pull it right away. Like it's not gonna work. That's just like same thing with like working with certain people, like certain artists. If I start to see something, if there's a red flag, I'm like, it's cool. We're not working no more. And back in young Nina, really young Nina, would have been like, it's okay, like, it's fine, like, this will be good for my career, whatever that meant. Because, honestly, like, I've worked with people that were shady. Okay, I don't want to say shady, but like, just, I just know they're not in it for the right reasons. And they're I look at them as liabilities now. You know what I mean? Like, as a songwriter, as an artist as well, you got to be really careful with who you team up with too, because music is I would say music is somewhat of a spiritual thing. And so when you're like going to bed with someone spiritually and creating something with them, like you're mixing in with their energy and what they're about. And it's uncomfortable, to say the least, to be making music with someone you just don't vibe with. You just know is not in it for the right reasons. Is that a cut?
That's a cut and a